Hello everyone, and welcome back. Tonight's video is 8 extremely creepy true island horror stories. Isolated islands might look beautiful from afar, but once you're there, things can take a terrifying turn. From strange disappearances to chilling encounters with the unknown. These real stories will make you think twice before ever stepping foot on an island again. If you enjoy these creepy tales, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? I always enjoy seeing where everyone is tuning in. Now, let's begin. The Lighthouse Keeper's Daughter. My aunt always told me to trust my gut. She swore it saved her life, especially as a kid with her dad, a lighthouse keeper on a tiny, isolated island off Maine in the late 1940s. It was a rugged place, stone, sturdy, always smelling faintly of salt and whale oil. No electricity, just kerosene lamps and the thrum of the giant clockwork mechanism spinning the light. Life there was solitary. Eleanor, my aunt, was about 7 or 8. Her playmates were seagulls and seals. Her dad was quiet, dedicated to duty. He polished the lens, wound weights, kept logs. Eleanor's days blended into chores, tide pool explorations, and reading worn-out books. She loved the ocean, but felt its immense power, a constant rumble underfoot. One stormy autumn, the winds howled like banshees. The supply boat couldn't make it through for what felt like an eternity. They ran low on staples. Isolation, already a daily reality, pressed in heavier. Her dad, usually steady, grew agitated, checking the barometer, pacing. Eleanor retreated to her books. During this storm, Eleanor started hearing things. Not just wind or the old house groaning. Clearer sounds, a faint, high-pitched scratching from inside. The stone walls, usually late at night, like fingernails on stone. She mentioned it to her dad once. He grunted, "Rats, probably." But Eleanor knew rats. This was different. This scratching had a rhythm, a purpose, a relentless quality that raised the hairs on her arms. One evening, the scratching was so distinct, so close, she swore it was from the wall by her bed. Heart thumping, she pulled the blanket over her head. She heard a soft thump, then a deeper scrape, like something trying to dig its way out or in. A shiver traced her spine. Her gut screamed, "This isn't right." The next morning, a faint, damp smell filled the living room. Wet earth mixed with something metallic and faintly sweet, like old blood. She couldn't place it. Her dad looked drawn, eyes bloodshot, barely ate. He just stared at the churning grey ocean. That afternoon, while he napped, Eleanor investigated. The scratching was loudest near the old boarded-up fireplace. She felt a slight cave, a tiny gap between two stones. Curiosity, stronger than fear, took hold. She pressed her eye to the crack. It was dark inside, but a faint glint caught the dim light. Something was in there. Small, white. The smell of damp earth and metallic sweetness was stronger. A sudden chill swept through the room. She pulled back, her heart frantic. Days passed. The storm raged. The scratching continued, always present. Eleanor had nightmares of things clawing from walls, a pale face pressed against the lighthouse glass. She noticed unsettling details. Dark earth on her dad's boot, as if he'd been digging. A quiet intensity in his eyes, fixed on the fireplace. One violent night, the wind howled like a banshee. A loud splintering crack came from downstairs. Not wind. Her dad wasn't in bed. Heart pounding, she crept down. The smell was overpowering now, making her stomach churn. The heavy plank covering the fireplace was gone. It lay splintered. The stones were pulled out, creating a gaping dark hole. Her dad stood before it, his back to her, holding something long, thin, white. In his lantern's flicker, she saw him carefully placing it into a canvas bag. He didn't seem to notice her. He hummed a low, tuneless melody. The sight of him, usually stoic, bent over this dark opening with such strange care, twisted a knot of pure fear in her stomach. As he turned slightly, the light caught his face. Eyes wide, unnaturally bright, fixed on the opening. A faint smear of dark earth on his cheek. A small red stain on his cuff. He leaned closer to the hole, whispering, not words she knew, but the tone was chilling. Gentle, almost pleading. Lightning flashed. For a split second, Eleanor saw it. On the floor, near his feet, a small dark object. A human tooth, yellowed, like from a child's mouth. That was it. Her gut screamed, "Run!" She fled, scrambling to bed, pulling the blanket tight, shaking. She lay listening, heard her dad moving downstairs for a long time, the rhythmic scrape and thump starting again, but sounding like things were being put back. She didn't sleep. At dawn, she crept downstairs. Everything was normal. Fireplace boarded up, smell gone. Her dad in the kitchen, calm, tired, no strange glint in his eyes. He smiled. "Rough night, eh, El?" Winds are finally dying down. She never told him. She just nodded, voice caught. The supply boat arrived. They left the island that spring. He never spoke of that autumn again. Eleanor carried that night with her. She never knew what he dug for, what he found, why he whispered. Was he protecting, hiding, or worse? The tooth, the scratching, her father's strange demeanor, it all haunted her memory of that isolated island. She lived a long life, always trusting her gut, always wondering what her lighthouse keeper father had done in that endless storm. That island and its dark secret haunted her until she died, looking at lighthouse photos, as if she could still hear the faint, relentless scratching. The message in the bottle. My first solo backpacking trip was to a small, lesser-known island in the Philippines. Pristine beaches, thick jungle, off-the-grid vibe. I saved for months, craving escape. Found a small guest house, spent days exploring, snorkeling, soaking up beauty. Felt utterly alone, completely at peace. One afternoon, on a deserted beach, I saw it. A green glass bottle, half buried in the sand, old weathered, covered in barnacles. My inner child took over. I dug it out. Inside, curled tight, was a piece of paper. A message in a bottle. I corked it, took it back. That evening, in my veranda, jungle alive with chirping, I painstakingly extracted the note. Brittle, stained, hurried handwriting. Ink bled, but I could make out words. It wasn't a love letter or a castaway's cry. It was a journal entry or a warning. The writer was in distress, trapped on a different island. "The wind carries their whispers," it began. "Always at night. They watch from the trees. I see their eyes, glinting." My brow furrowed. "Their whispers? Their eyes?" I read on. The writer, unnamed, described figures in the periphery, always out of sight, moving in the dense foliage. They spoke of a lullaby, a strange droning chant drifting from the jungle after dark, filling them with dread. The writing became more frantic. I tried to leave. The note continued. "The boat, it won't start. They know. They don't want me to leave. I can feel their presence. Cold? Always cold, even in this heat." The language grew disjointed. crude stick figures with large empty eyes. Then, a chilling detail. They took my partner last night, dragged him into the woods. I heard the screams. They sounded muffled, like they were underwater. A cold knot formed in my stomach. This wasn't just a spooky story. The raw fear felt real. The writer was convinced these things weren't human. Ancient, silent, there before anyone else. The final lines were almost illegible. Don't come here. Don't. The forest, they hunger. They watch. They wait. Please turn back. My heart raced. I looked up, out at the dark jungle silhouette. The sounds of night, once soothing, now sinister. Every rustle, every distant animal call sounded like a whisper, a movement. They watched from the trees. A shiver traced my spine. Next morning, still shaken, I showed the note to the guest house owner. She read it slowly, face unreadable. Old stories, she said, voice flat. Many islands have them. Don't worry, this island is safe. But her eyes held something. Fear? Recognition. She didn't meet my gaze. I spent days trying to dismiss it as a prank, but the details replayed. Muffled screams, eyes in the dark, chilling lullaby. I stopped venturing deep into the jungle, staying closer to the village. Every shadow held a shape, every rustle, a following sound. I glanced back, seeing nothing but the dense, green, silent wall. One evening, as the sun dipped, the air thick with humidity, from deep within the jungle, a sound drifted out. Faint at first, then louder, a low, rhythmic chanting. Not human song, a guttural humming sound, rising and falling, hypnotic, deeply unsettling. It was the lullaby the note described. My blood ran cold, hot-hammered. I froze. It wasn't overtly menacing, but its ancient, alien quality made every hair stand on end. It felt like a sound meant to draw you in, to lull you into false security before... What? They took my partner? They hunger? My gut screamed. I didn't wait. I ran back to my guest house, not daring to look back. Packed my bag, paid, caught the first boat off that island next morning. The owner smiled politely. Didn't ask why I cut my trip short, as if she expected it. I never went back, never researched the island in the note. The bottle and message are in a box. I don't know who wrote it or what happened, but I know some places stir with ancient things, where jungle whispers are not just wind, and paradise turns to nightmare. Sometimes, warnings wash up, begging to be heard. I still wonder about that island. Is something watching from the trees, waiting for its next visitor? How many other warnings drift across the ocean? What if one washes up on your shore? The fisherman's fog. My grandfather, a man of the sea, once told me about an experience that changed his view of the ocean. A commercial fisherman in the Pacific Northwest, he knew its waters, moods, and dangers. This happened in the late 70s, in his 30s, on his small boat, the Sea Serpent. He was near a cluster of rocky islands, known for fishing. The smallest, an uninhabited outcropping of rock and gnarled trees, was called Skeleton Island from an old shipwreck. It was beautiful clear morning, crisp air, brilliant blue sky, calm water. He had lines out, enjoying the solitude. Mid-morning, a pea soup of fog rolled in fast, like a wall of cotton. Visibility dropped a feet. This fog was different, heavy, still, muffling all sound. The world shrank to his boat, gull calls, other boats, even waves vanished. An unnatural silence. He started his foghorn. No answer. Just silence, broken by his horn. He checked his compass, charts. He knew these waters, but the fog disoriented him. He throttled back, drifting, trying to get his bearings. Unease snaked through him. Then he heard it. A faint, distant bell. Not a buoy bell, higher-pitched tinkling, an irregular rhythm. Ding, ding-a-ling, ding. From Skeleton Island, he thought it a private marker or shipwreck debris. He listened, trying to pinpoint it. The sound was eerie, a ghostly chime. He steered cautiously towards it, hoping to get a visual on the island. As he got closer, the bell grew clearer, but changed. A faint, imperceptible hum beneath it. A low, thrumming vibration through the water, making the boat tremble. Then a voice. A soft whisper, a murmur, a chant carried on the damp air. Singing tunelessly. His gut clenched. Fishermen are superstitious. He'd heard tales of voices in the fog. But curiosity and a stubborn desire for direction kept him going. He crept forward, hand on throttle, peering into the swirling grey, his heart thumping. The bell and whispering grew louder. The hum intensified. Through a thinning of the fog, he saw it. The island, but not the barren rock he knew. A crumbling stone dock, moss-covered, ancient. On it, barely visible, were figures, 3, maybe 4. Cloaked in dark, heavy robes, faces obscured by hoods, standing still, facing the ocean. One held a tarnished brass bell, the source of the tinkling. They weren't moving, but he felt their eyes on him, a prickling sensation. The whispering, now a clear, low chanting, seeped into his bones. A language he didn't understand but felt. Hypnotic, chilling, drawing him in. The water around his boat churned, not currents. Something massive moved beneath. A deep, powerful throb shook the boat. Then slowly, silently, a dark, impossibly smooth shape broke the surface just beyond the dock, moving towards the cloaked figures. Enormous, gleaming wetly. Not a whale, not a submarine. No discernible features, just a vast, dark mass, ancient, terrifying. Panic seized him. This wasn't natural, not anything he'd seen. The chanting intensified, becoming a wail. The colossal shape moved closer. He wanted to stare, to understand, but a primal instinct screamed to flee. Get out, now. He slammed the throttle forward, turning the sea serpent hard away. The engine roared, cutting through the fog's silence. He didn't look back. He pushed the boat as fast as it would go. He didn't stop until far out at sea, the fog thinning, revealing open ocean. He looked back where Skeleton Island should be. Empty water. The fog had vanished. My grandfather never fully told anyone. He just said, unusual fog, and a bad feeling. He never fished near that island again. He said some places aren't meant to be disturbed. Some fogs hide things that defy explanation. The cloaked figures, the bell, the chanting, the silent, immense dark shape stayed with him. He learned the ocean holds secrets older than humanity. If your gut tells you to run, you run. Don't ask questions. He passed years ago, but that story, the raw fur in his eyes, cemented for me that some horrors are real, ancient, lurking in lonely places, hidden by sea and mist. The Whispering Cave. My friend, Maya, is an adventurous spirit. She loves exploring forgotten places. A few years ago, she convinced me to join her on a trip to a lesser-known island in Southeast Asia. Beautiful, tropical, lush with jungle, dotted with hidden coves and ancient limestone caves. We spent days snorkeling, hiking. One afternoon, our local guide, Gail, mentioned Guabisican, the Whispering Cave, on the far side. He warned it was dangerous, prone to flash floods, not for tourists, But the way he said it, his eyes holding a strange guarded look, fueled Maya's curiosity. She insisted. Cale relented, but made us promise to stick close and leave if he said so. The hike was grueling, through dense, humid jungle. The entrance was imposing, a gaping maw draped with vines, exhaling cool, damp, heavy air. Inside, light faded quickly. Kyle gave us headlamps. The air was thick with damp earth and something mineral, ancient. The cave system was vast, a labyrinth of twisting passages. Stalactites and stalagmites formed eerie shapes in our beams. We walked deeper, Cale leading. The silence was absolute, broken by footsteps and dripping water. Then, past a narrow crawl space, a sound began. Faint at first, barely perceptible over our breathing. A whisper. Not a distinct voice, but a collective murmur, dozens of hushed voices, just beyond hearing, from everywhere and nowhere, echoing. My stomach tightened. Not a natural cave sound. This was distinctly vocal, human-like. Maya, ever the thrill-seeker, was intrigued. "Did you hear that?" she whispered. Cale went still. His face, illuminated by his headlamp, was drawn tight, eyes wide. "It is the whispers," he strained. "We must not listen too long." But the whispers grew louder, clearer, now like individual voices, speaking an unknown language, yet strangely familiar. Persuasive, trying to draw us deeper. The air grew colder. A strange metallic taste filled my mouth. A prickling sensation, as if unseen eyes watched us from the shadows. Maya started to move forward, drawn by the sound, a dreamy look on her face. Cale grabbed her arm, his grip strong. "No, we go no further. This place is old, very old. It takes things. It takes people." As he spoke, the whispers intensified. I could almost make out words, fragmented, seductive. They spoke my name. Just a fleeting whisper, but undeniably my name. Then Maya's. Cold dread seeped into my bones. Not an echo. Something alive. Something that knew us. Then a new sound cut through the whispers. A low, guttural growl, impossibly deep, vibrating through the rock. Close, too close. Not animalistic, ancient, patient, filled with hunger. Not just a sound, a presence. Kyle didn't hesitate. "Run!" he barked, shoving us forward. We didn't need telling twice. Pure terror seized me. My legs churned. We scrambled, half crawling, half running. The whispers chased us louder, more frantic, seeming to come from directly behind us. The growl was closer, a throbbing vibration. We burst out of the cave, gasping into blinding sunlight. The jungle felt safe. We didn't stop until far from that gaping maw. Kyle, pale and sweating, his chest heaving, eyes wide with fear. We never went back. He didn't explain, only said, "Some spirits are not of the dead. Some are of the earth itself. They lie sleeping, but they hear, and they do not like to be disturbed." The cave always whispered, always drew people in. Many who went too deep never returned. They became part of the whispers. I still shudder. My name whispered from darkness. The hungry growl, the profound sense of being known by something unseen. It all lingers. Maya is also deeply affected. Her adventurous spirit has a cautious edge. We don't talk about it. But sometimes, in quiet, I hear a faint whisper calling my name. I wonder what lies in Guabisican's depths, and how many others have heard their names and answered. The abandoned resort. My cousin, Liam, about 10 years ago, loved urban exploration. He'd heard of an abandoned resort on a deserted Florida island, ruined by a hurricane decades ago. Once grand, now swallowed by jungle. The perfect adventure for him and his friends, Mark and Chloe. They rented a boat. The island was overgrown. The resort, a haunting sight. Crumbling concrete, algae-filled pools, vines creeping through shattered windows. They explored, found a ballroom, a rusted kitchen. They decided to camp in a less damaged room on the second floor with an ocean view. As dusk settled, the jungle sounds intensified. Wind whistled through empty corridors. Faint jazz music drifted from downstairs, then vanished. Whispers, conversations, laughter, muffled and distant, like a phantom party. Chloe swore she heard her name called. Liam, rational, thought acoustics, but even he felt uneasy. They huddled, scanning shadows. Later, Mark jolted awake. "Someone's knocking," he whispered. A rhythmic tap and tap-tap came from their door. They'd sealed it with a fallen beam. The tapping stopped, replaced by a soft scraping, like fingernails on rotten wood, and a low, drawn-out sigh. A cloying smell, old perfume mixed with decay, filled the room. Liam, compelled, unbarred the door. The hallway was dark, empty. Then he saw it. On the dusty floor outside their door, a single perfectly preserved white gardenia flower. It exuded that sickeningly sweet, heavy perfume. Beside it, in the dust, was a faint impression, like a long, thin human finger had been dragged through the grime, ending precisely where the flower lay. They backed away, re-secured the door, and didn't sleep. The moment the sun rose, they fled. Liam never understood. Ghosts, something darker rooted in the decay? He still doesn't know. He just knows some places hold profound sorrow and chilling presences. He never explored an abandoned hotel again. The smell of gardenias still makes him sick. A reminder of the unnatural beauty that signaled a terrifying, unseen presence. The Vanishing Campers. My old university professor, Dr. Miller, a grounded, skeptical man, had an experience on a remote South Pacific island that changed him. His archaeological team of 5 was on an uninhabited island known for ancient burial sites. Their camp was basic. Days long, hot, nights peaceful. 2 younger researchers, David and Sarah, decided to explore a ridge. Experienced hikers, they knew safety protocols, marked trails, satellite phone, back by sundown. Dr. Miller waved them off. Dusk came. They didn't. He tried the satellite phone. No answer. An hour passed, unease turning to dread. He, John, and Emily grabbed spotlights and satellite phones, hiking towards the ridge. The jungle was dark, suffocating, swallowing their calls. They searched for hours. No trace. No broken branches. No footprints. No dropped equipment. It was as if the jungle swallowed them. Around midnight, a scream cut through the air. Human, male, absolute agony. Then a fainter female scream. Silence. A heavy, terrifying silence. Dr. Miller whispered, That was David. And Sarah. Blood cold, they froze. The malevolence in those screams, the finality, stopped them. 3 against what? They retreated to camp, huddled together, sleepless, convinced whatever's made those screams was watching. At first light, they searched for days. Nothing. No remains, no clothes, no equipment. Footprints just ended. The satellite phones were gone. A rescue boat arrived. A full search found nothing. Official report, lost at sea. Dr. Miller never forgot those screams. He still has David and Sarah's photo. He never returned to that island. He believed something old and powerful simply took them. Not an animal, not human. Something else. The thought of being utterly consumed by an unseen, inexplicable force in paradise haunts him. Some things defy all logic, he says, and we walk into their domain. The island became a tomb, a mystery he could never solve, shattering his skepticism. The tide pool doll. My friend Sarah experienced something truly unnerving during a family vacation to a less populated Hawaiian island when she was 10. She loved exploring the tide pools. One sunny afternoon, far down the beach, she found a doll wedged between rocks. An old-fashioned porcelain doll with delicate painted features, glass eyes, and a lace dress. Dirty, covered in grime and seaweed, one glass eye missing, the other pale blue and unnervingly focused. She pulled it out. Its porcelain skin was cold. It just looked wrong. She decided to take it back. Her mom, shuddering, said, "That's a bit creepy." But Sarah pleaded. That night she put the doll on her bedside table, facing the wall. She woke to a faint rustling. Her heart pounded. The doll was no longer facing the wall. It was facing her, its single blue eye staring directly. She pulled the covers over her head, rigid with fear. When she peeked out at dawn, the doll was still staring. On its porcelain cheek, a faint, dark smear. It looked like a tear. She screamed. Her parents rushed in. Her dad wiped the tear, saying it was just water. But even he looked uncomfortable. Her mom, however, didn't rationalize. "That's it," she said firmly, scooping up the doll. "This thing goes back where it came from." They walked to the water's edge. Her mom tossed it into the incoming tide. It bobbed, its single eye seeming to fix on Sarah, then drifted out to sea. Sarah never forgot that doll, or its unsettling turn, or the tear. She wonders if it was her imagination, or if something unsettling, carrying echoes of an unknown past, clung to that porcelain face. She shivers at old dolls, avoids tide pools. Some things are best left to the ocean's depths, their secrets kept by indifferent currents. A child's toy can be anything but innocent. The salt-stained cottage. My uncle, a man of few words, told me about a summer in his early 20s on a tiny remote island off Ireland. He worked for a reclusive old woman, Mrs. O'Malley, maintaining her cottage and garden. The island was stark, wild, lonely, buffeted by endless winds. Mrs. O'Malley was peculiar, gaunt, sharp-eyed. She wore black, spoke little. Her stone cottage smelled of salt and peat smoke, filled with dusty relics. My uncle's room, a damp annex, faced the churning sea. His days were chores. One evening, a fierce storm hit. Power went out. He lit kerosene lamps. Mrs. O'Malley sat by the dying fireplace, knitting in silence. That night, a faint, rhythmic scraping came from beneath his floorboards. Scrape, drag, scrape. Too heavy for rats. He lay still, heart pounding. It stopped, then moved towards the wall. He shone his flashlight. Nothing. He mentioned it to Mrs. O'Malley. She just looked at him. "The house has its own sounds, boy," she rasped. "Best not to listen too closely." Her dismissal didn't ease his unease. Days later, the scraping returned, louder, from under the living room. Scrape, thump, drag. Always at night, in storms. A peculiar smell, earthy, metallic, sweet like old pennies and decay, strongest near the unused stone hearth. One wild night, the scraping was incessant, with soft grunts and a low, tuneless humming from below. The smell became overwhelming. Driven by morbid curiosity and terror, he crept to the living room. The room was dark, save for faint moonlight. The sounds were louder here, directly under the hearth. Scrape, thump, drag. The humming was from below. He noticed it, the large, heavy hearthstone, slightly ajar, a thin crack revealed inky blackness. From it, the sickening smell poured out. He knelt, heart pounding, pressed his ear to the crack. He heard the scraping clearer, closer, the humming, and then a faint, wet slurp. He pulled back, nauseated. He stayed in his room, huddled, listening to the storm, the scraping, humming, and slurping, the image of that slightly opened hearthstone. Next morning, the storm had passed. The hearthstone was back in place, the smell gone. Mrs. O'Malley calmly made tea. My uncle packed, made an excuse, left. As he walked out, she said dryly, "Some things are best left where they are buried, boy. Especially on this island." He never looked back. He never knew what was hidden, or what she did. He just knew it was ancient, unspeakable, tied to that desolate rock. The image of the hearthstone, the sounds, that sickening smell, haunted him for decades. He never spent another summer on a remote island. He learned some secrets run deeper than any foundation. Some silence is more terrifying than any scream. An old woman's quiet life can hide a darkness that shatters sanity. These stories, like whispers on the wind, remind us of a profound truth. The world is far stranger and often far more terrifying than we usually dare to admit. Islands, with their unique blend of breathtaking beauty and profound isolation, seem to be natural magnets for the unexplained. When you're miles from the nearest mainland, cut off by vast expanses of water, surrounded by ancient forests or forgotten ruins, your sense of vulnerability sharpens. Every rustle, every moan of the wind, every unsettling silence feels amplified, a potential precursor to something truly unsettling. It's in those moments of extreme isolation that the veil between what we understand and what we can't fathom seems to thin. Whether it's an ancient entity stirring in a cave, a long-lost secret unearthed by a storm, the lingering presence of a past tragedy, or something entirely unknown lurking beneath the waves. These tales share a common thread, a chilling encounter with the inexplicable, leaving a lasting mark on those who experience them. They force us to confront the idea that not everything can be rationalized, explained away by science or logic. Some things just are, and they wait in the shadowed corners of abandoned resorts, in the depths of a dense jungle, in the mournful toll of a bell in the fog, or even in the innocent appearance of a child's forgotten toy. Each person who shared their story walked away forever changed, forever looking over their shoulder, forever questioning the gentle lapping of the waves. Because once you've truly glimpsed the darkness that can hide beneath the idyllic surface of paradise, you can never really see the world in the same way again. It changes your perception, imbuing every serene landscape with a potential for hidden dread. Have you ever felt that primal unease in an isolated place? That undeniable feeling that something is watching, or that you're not meant to be there? Share your thoughts and any similar unsettling experiences in the comments below. Stay safe out there, and maybe, just maybe, listen to your gut when it tells you to turn back. Because some islands are best admired from a distance.